Hello and welcome. This is Hooves of Doom. Um, it's been a busy year for me, and one of the things that has been taking up a lot of my time is a rather ambitious painting goal of basically painting 1,000 models. Um, Now, this goal is ambitious because it needs to be. I love collecting Warhammer, and I'm a self-styled Warhammer collector in many ways. I'm just one of those strangely deranged creatures that seemingly actively collects all but the most obscure Warhammer armies. And, I have well over 2,000 painted models, which is really good. Probably more than the average hobbyist. But the overall balance between my painted and unpainted collection is rather quite dismal. So 6 years ago, I released a video called Hobby Confessional 3,480 Unpainted Models. And even though I had been painting in the last 6 years, off and on, today that number stands at 5,649, which is a net gain of 2,169 unpainted models, which is rather stark and rather interesting, surprising, a little bit sickening. And increasingly, I'm asking myself, what is the point of all these models if they aren't painted, right? I mean, I really do love collecting, but there's a point where it does reach a level of madness if you're not actively at least using them in some way and actually expressing them. Because, I can quite legitimately accept the fact that some armies might not get on the table too often, even over the course of many years. But having a ton of unpainted plastic is hardly an achievement. So I've been in this hobby for a quarter century, and 2021, last year, was perhaps the first time that I painted more models than I acquired. I added exactly 361 models to the collection and painted 429, which is kind of a modest gain of about 68 models, but it's a start. At minimum, I think going forward, I really plan on meeting at least that basic standard going forward of painting a little more, hopefully quite a bit more, than what I actually buy. Because I really want to push that threshold and really increase the margin where possible. And to do that, I'm aspiring to paint 1,000 models this year, and every subsequent year for this foreseeable future. If I have a margin of 68 models, you can quickly calculate how many years it would take to actually get, a reasonable amount of the actual entire collection painted. And it's many, many years. So I want something that's a bit faster. But I'm very clear. This is an aspiration. I will aim for it. I will try for it. But I'm not going to be necessarily too hard on myself if I only manage to paint 700 or 800 models. That would be a serious accomplishment and a significant step forward. I can paint to a reasonably good level. I'm definitely not someone that is hell-bent on drastically improving my skills or really taking model to the absolute highest I could possibly put it. But it is hard for me to pull back from some basic standards. And yet, if I want to paint more, I do need to temper my expectations. I think actually intending to paint 1,000 models to even a reasonably high quality, or even just a pretty good quality, might be a little bit untenable. I've been increasingly asking myself this basic question, though. Would I rather have a collection that includes some painted models that are painted to a nice quality, but will forever remain largely unpainted? Or would I rather have a collection entirely painted to a basic standard. Now, I think this is the kind of the crux of the question for me, and it's really hard. But I think I finally accepted that I can accomplish the latter, but not the former. That I can actually, it's better to have the collection painted to a fairly basic level and not worry so much about quality than to forever have tons of unpainted models. And many years from now, I might have the option to slow down, focus a little more on quality if I actually do meet my goals. Perhaps at that point, maybe 10 years from now or something, I'll have the option in the future to push quality a bit. But right now, I just need quantity. And that means a deliberate and difficult decision to not push models as far as I'm capable. Even just one or two extra steps that really just add 1 or 2 extra minutes per model is like an entire work week over the span of a year. It adds up to like 30, 40 hours when you're dealing with 1,000 models. And so I need to really think about this and make up some strategies in which I can leverage my time most effectively. Now, last year I started compiling general strategies in this way to really push production while maintaining a basic standard. I'll be choosing colors a little more strategically, ignoring obscure details, underneath the model in areas that you can't see that well, utilizing a lot of contrast paints over a zenithal undercoat, kind of simple shading and minimal highlights. Now, obviously, some models can be painted faster than others. My current army project has really taken a little longer than I would like. I'm actually behind schedule at this point, but I do anticipate that I'll be switching to Beastmen in the near future. I think I can paint Beastmen very quickly. I have a good 100 or so unpainted Beastmen in that collection. And then I'm going to be switching to Tyranids and Moonclan Grots. Both those armies have 300 plus models that can, I think, be painted relatively quickly with simple techniques. And at that point, I hope this is kind of mid-fall. We'll see. My timeline is always a little bit off. But I hope I can finish both those armies each individually in just a couple months and really just push it. I'm a collector. Collecting and organizing chaos is simply part of my personality as expressed in my profession as a librarian and kind of trained archivist. Everything I collect is well organized and detailed. I take kind of extensive notes. I probably spend far too much time with spreadsheets of models than I actually do playing the game. I'm not going to stop buying models, and I'm not going to sell off entire collections, but I can be a little more thoughtful and a little more selective in how I collect Warhammer. So alongside my painting aspirations, I'll likely prioritize the acquisitions of larger showcase models over units of multiple models, more so in the this year and in the years coming. And I'm open to selling components of collections that are unbalanced, things that are just aesthetically not pleasing, or just numbers that you couldn't really feasibly use in most games. I have 4 Broodlords, for instance, in my Tyranids. Not only are they duplicate sculpts, but it's also just kind of, there's absolutely no point in having probably more than 2. The same goes for like my 90 Gene Stealers. I'm probably cool to sell a good 20 or 30 of those and still have a good serious collection. I think both those strategies will help reduce, kind of burn the candle at both ends. If I focus more on collecting larger models, that reduces the amount of models I buy over the course of the year. And that actually will, increase those margins quite significantly. So I've already made some progress in painting within the last year. I aim to be reasonably close to my goal of 1,000 models. And I'm going to try to renew the goal year after year until I've seen some results. So wish me luck. I'm going to actually start painting a bit tonight. And best wishes. I'll see you in the next video.